Alright guys, well, I know it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but it's 2019. We're in our spring season of 2019, so we got some new carts coming in for repair that have been sitting over the winter time that have not had any work done to them. This is a 2015 EZGO Express. This one is a crank no start situation. Come around here, you can see we're in neutral, key switch is on, step on the pedal, and no matter how much choke we give it, full throttle, it doesn't want to start. What we're going to do is we're going to probably pull the carburetor on this and check and see if we have any issues inside the carb. We'll start with the basics on this and see what's going on with it, and then we'll get it cleaned up and running again. So I'm also trying out a new Lav Mic. We're going to see how this works out compared to having the microphone on the camera pointing at me while I'm talking. We'll see if this makes it a lot easier to hear me when I'm mumbling while I'm working on the golf cart. See, I could actually walk around the golf cart and talk without yelling, and you should still be able to hear me, no problem. Okay, so we're going to take the seat off, and we're going to get down in there to the carburetor. Now it's April now, and it's still only in the 30s during the day. I'm going to get in here the 10 mil. I know I've mentioned this in other videos, but I just absolutely don't like EZGO anymore. But a lot of the way this stuff is designed is like, what were you smoking when you designed this? It gets to be ridiculous after a while. Make it more accessible by moving it. Take this off. I know this is going to be a tough angle, guys, so bear with me. And it's like, the reason why I don't like this is because of the way they have these cables run. It's like the cables are just, to me it feels like the cables are run in a way that where they didn't care. They just quick run them and get them put into place so we can get them hooked up. So the reason for my complaining about the way EZGO does certain things doesn't just stem from working on one cart here and there. It stems from many, many years of fighting with these techniques used in this golf cart brand in order to make things go a certain way. Like, I mean, this choke cable. This choke cable looks so haphazardly thrown in here. Like, I mean, it runs this way. This Kawasaki engine, you know, I know Kawasaki makes some pretty decent engines, but the way this one is designed is so, like, really, Kawasaki? You put your name on this thing? I'm just loosening up the fuel line with the pliers gently because it is kind of stuck. Would have had another video coming out for another golf cart, but FedEx, as usual, didn't deliver the package on time, as usual. It was supposed to be delivered on Saturday. Today's Monday, and now it says there's no scheduled delivery. So somebody screwed up somewhere. And this always happens to you, FedEx, with me. Always. Always, always, always. All right, so we got the carburetor out of the cart here. You can see it's a bit gnarly. I'm gonna pop the bottom off the carb, and I wanna see what it looks like inside before we go ahead and clean it. I'm gonna bring it over to the parts washer and clean the outside of it because it's a bit dirty. Make it look a lot better. This one has a Welch plug right here. There's one here, and there's one here. It's not necessary to remove those to clean these. I believe there's one here too. No, there's not one there. But there's a screw here to remove, and everything else is internal. Once we get it all apart, we can take all that stuff out. But you have your throttle here, and this is your choke. Nope, I'm sorry, I got that completely backwards. This is choke, and this is throttle. So it's got these plastic clips on them. So, all right, enough of me bitching. Let's get this thing opened. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty clearly, but that is what gasoline and water look like when they're mixed inside the bowl. So you can see how it just kind of like sits in the bottom. and then the water begins to corrode out the bottom of the bowl, and then you get some debris. So this is a big issue, water in the gas. So if you have a cart that doesn't start, it cranks, but it doesn't run, this is one thing to check. So here's the other thing I really want to point out to you guys. Hopefully this is good enough for you to see. But you can see this jelly stuff. This is what forms when you get water in your fuel. The slimy, it's almost like algae. It's very slimy and slippery. And this is what forms in the bottom of the bowl when there's water in the fuel. Today's fuel has ethanol in it and is very hydroscopic, meaning it attracts water. All right, so I ran it through the parts washer real quick. I took it apart, cleaned it, put it back together. I didn't film any of it because you've seen me do it a bunch of times. I want to run the engine, or crank the engine over, and see if we have any fuel that's coming out that looks kind of terrible here. Oh yeah, it's a bit milky. I'm going to be working on a couple of different angles too, as far as trying to set the camera up so it makes it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. I'm even considering adding in a GoPro-like system. Basically, it's going to allow me to get a couple of different angles at once instead of just this single camera angle. Something I'm toying with the idea is I'm going to hook up my good old trusty fuel pump here, and we're going to take a couple of ounces or so out of this system. Back this up. I'm going to change this fuel filter as well while we're in here, because it looks a bit gnarly. So what we do is we take our fuel pump, we hook it up to the cart's fuel supply. I'm going to actually use this old filter to hold it into the thing there. And then we hook it up to the battery. I go to the positive side over there, and then I grab a ground here. So that way I can turn it off when I need to really quick. So we're going to pull a little bit of fuel off the bottom of the tank, because that's where the water sits. Okay, we're just going to pump out a little bit of their fuel until it starts to clear up. You got to get that water off the bottom of the fuel tank, because if you don't, you're only going to be fighting with this problem over and over again, and it's never going to clear up, which is the case with this system now. It's clearing up really well here. The gas is really orange. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to unplug my fuel filter here. Now I'll add a new fuel filter here. So I don't know if you can see that. It's probably going to be really difficult. But if you look down in the corner here, you might be able to see if I slosh it around a little bit. That light is probably not helping. See that darker substance in there? In the corner, right there, or actually dead center? That's water. And that is what we just pumped out of the tank. So I think I'll add another fuel filter to it. It doesn't look like it looks like I got the water. I don't see any more water sitting down on the bottom of the thing, so I think we might be okay now. We're going to add a second fuel filter to this. Catch a little bit anything that gets past the fuel pump and past that first filter, because if the fuel lines are degrading, which a lot of times it happens, and what I'll do is I'll cut this like right here, just long enough to allow me to add fuel filter here. And it's not going to hurt to do this. You can add a fuel filter to the system to help it filter better. Neutral. Fuel is on. Key switch is on. We'll see if it'll start on its own without choke. There it goes. Okay. So we're able to get the engine to start without choke, which is good. No, I'm not farting. That is just my feet dragging against the floor mat. Because I know how it sounds. So, all right, guys, that was pretty much it on this one. It was, like I said, it was a fairly simple fix. The fuel pump's good, thankfully. The fuel lines don't have any cracks in them, and they're not leaking, so it wasn't drawing in any air from the beyond the pump, or before the pump or after the pump, so we're good there. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. Be sure to open up the description area of the video. You'll find links to products I use every single day to run my business and bring you these videos. Until next time, we'll see you in the next video.